Not only have I aged a bit, but so have my eyes. And, thank you. But I don't see exactly the same. I've got to get back here to read everything. Well, thank you so much for a kind introduction. Awesome. We're going to have some, a little bit of introduction here, I guess. So a lot of you know my family. This beautiful blonde back here is my daughter Clara, who was 2 years old when we left. She's now 13 years old. It's been 11 years since we moved back to Texas. We lived here for about 5 years. I managed the Lifeway bookstore here in town. And I loved it. I love Rocky Mount. I loved all you people so much. And, I know I didn't express it enough to any of you. And as I've aged, as I've matured in Christ, I realize how much the body of Christ, everywhere I've been, means to me. 11 years ago and beyond that, before that, I look back on that, I realize just how proud and how often selfish and unwise I was. And I expect that in 10 years I'm going to look back at today and think, wow, how proud and selfish and unwise I was then too. But I pray that you guys will bear with me as I tell you a little bit about our story, for those of you who don't know me, and to tell you a little bit about what God has done in our lives to bring us to this point. Anybody here been on a short-term mission trip? A few people here? Anybody ever felt like maybe God might be working in your heart to maybe go somewhere else internationally, long-term? Anyone? Well, it's kind of terrifying when you think about it, isn't it? When I was about 19, I went on a short-term mission trip to Haiti, and it really humbled me a great deal during that. Of course, I still had a long way to go there, but it really showed me how much I had to learn. But I had a desire to go, to do that again, to serve like that again. And I really grew to love, in 3 weeks' time, love the people that I worked with in Haiti. But then I got back to school, and 30 years of life happened, or 25 years of life happened. And I didn't really think much about missions anymore. I went to work for Lifeway, worked for Lifeway for many years. I worked here for 5, obviously. Moved back to Texas and worked at Lifeway there for another 10. And I started looking at what God was doing at my store, at my church there in Longview, Texas, and started realizing that there was something else that God wanted me to do. It really started showing me that maybe retail wasn't the long-term purpose for me and my family. But I didn't know what. I didn't know what he was going to do. I didn't really know even how to figure it out. Fortunately, I have a very wise wife, and I would go to her with ideas like, maybe I should get a master's degree. I liked numbers and accounting and things like that. So I went to her one time, and actually numerous times, and said, maybe I should go back to school and get a master's. And she would say, let's think about it a little bit more. Let's just kind of put a pin in that over here, and we'll come back to it sometime. We never went back. And then I thought about maybe finding another direct career, going into something else that maybe I liked more. And I still loved retail, but it was changing. It was changing quickly. So I would take other ideas to her. She'd say, well, let's take a step back and think about it a little more. She kept doing it. That started about 2009. So I'd been in Texas for about 3 years after we moved. I guess about 2014, I went on a business trip with Lifeway, and I started talking to a guy who was a missionary kid. We were at an airport in Charlotte, and I remember just in the middle of that conversation, really God working on my heart. I knew that he was giving you clear direction. I really felt like he was leading us in missions. And I thought on the airplane on the way home, I got to tell Carrie this. And at this time, I really felt like this was right. This is the right thing to do. We need to really look into this. But I was not real excited about telling her. So I got home, I sat down with her, and I said, Carrie, what would you say if I told you I think God might be leading us in missions? And she said, Okay, let's look into that. Let's see what we do. So I think God had been working on her a lot longer than he had me, or maybe he had worked on me a lot longer. But it came together perfectly. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't really have an idea of where God was leading us. We just knew that missions was the right direction. We had friends in Guatemala. We had friends in Africa. Actually, 2 sets of friends in Guatemala. One was just coming home at that time. And so we started talking to them. We talked to a couple in our church that were retired missionaries to Brazil. And everything they told us was just be obedient. Whatever God tells you to do, whatever that next step is, be obedient. And if you don't know what to do next, go back to what he told you to do last and make sure that you were obedient there. And so we started following that advice. Put our house on the market. We started looking around for agencies. We put in an application with the International Mission Board, the Southern Baptist Convention, and we got a really nice response back from them saying, essentially, your kids are too old, you have too many of them. We have 4 kids, by the way. We didn't know when to quit. But we also have some particular dietary need as well. One of our daughters was diagnosed with celiac disease, which is an autoimmune disorder, which is your body reacting to gluten and wheat. So they said, we like you, you're on the list, but out of 69 applicants, pretty close to 69. And they only sent 27 out that year. So we backed away from that, started praying some more. And we talked to a friend of mine that had just gotten back from training with a company called Crossroad, which is the agency we ended up signing up with. And they suggested I look at it, and now I'm going to kind of take a rabbit trail and tell you a little bit about why Crossroad really struck a chord with me. For many years of my life, I guess the past 20 or so, I've really had a passion for discipleship. I've really, when I was here in Rocky Mount, it revealed itself in one-on-one engagement with mostly young men. I'll even point to one right now that isn't paying attention there. Ike. Good friend of mine. I love Ike. Weirdest guy I've ever known. But he has stayed in touch with me diligently over the past 11 years. He came to visit us one time, about 8 years ago maybe. And when I first met Ike, I thought he was stealing from my store. He promises me he never stole from the store, but I didn't know what to think of the guy. We started talking. We kind of developed a friendship, and things would happen. He would do something and come talk to me about it, and I talked to him about it. And over the course of those years, I could see him maturing. And I don't know if any of you knew him 11 years ago, but I am really proud of the growth that he's shown. But it's young men like that God has brought into my life have really been my passion. Serving them, teaching them what I could, learning from them. And that element of discipleship is what drew me to Crossroad. When I looked at their website, they really focused on discipleship before and after the cross. Leading up through evangelism, leading someone to Christ, and then leading them into maturity, getting them out of the milk into the bread and meat of the Word. And then just maturing and sending them out to make other disciples. It became such a passion of mine that when I saw that, I didn't even bother looking at other agencies. Maybe I should have out of wisdom, but God really worked through that to get us involved in this group. So we put an application in, and within just a few weeks, they accepted our application. They sent a lot of questions to find out where we were spiritually, theologically, emotionally, and they invited us to Crossroad Candidate Orientation. That was November of 2015. So we had a little challenge with that. We had to raise our own money, pay our own way to go to it. It was going to be about $3,000. And that seemed like a pretty daunting task. So we took it before God. We went to we homeschool, so we have a homeschool group that we were part of. We went to them and we went to our church and said, okay, we need to plan some fundraisers over the next few weeks. I think 4 weeks at this point, before we were going to need the money so we could leave. So we started planning out these fundraisers. That first week, we had a garage sale, or yard sale, and our homeschool group brought stuff in. We had a craft sale there too. And we made more money, probably 3 times than what I expected to make out of that. And then we went to church the next day, and a fellow from our church asked us how far away from our goal we were. And we were like, $2,000. We only need $1,000 more. And he handed us a check for $1,000. Sorry. So I think about the things like that God did for us to confirm all along the way. Every time we got a little bit nervous, a little bit scared, He has clearly confirmed everything. So we went to training. That was 1 weekend. We still had 3 more weekends we could have raced them. We got way ahead of time. Now, He doesn't do that every time. I know that. I don't want to give you any kind of false information there, but when we need it, He provides it. So we went to training. It was very difficult, 2 weeks. The first week was really tearing us down, emotionally and spiritually, and challenging everything we understood about missions and about culture. And then the next week was building us back up and getting us ready for a whole lot of homework. So we went to training, but we still didn't know where we were going. We still had no idea. We talked to people who had been retired from Ireland, from service in Ireland. They really steered us away from there because of some various ideas they had about homeschooling. We talked to people from Brazil, people who had been to, well, they actually tried to encourage us to go to China. We really didn't feel that that's where God was leading us. And we left Crossroads not knowing where we were going. We started praying about maybe going to Brazil. We talked to our friends who had been to Brazil and served in Brazil for 40 years. We talked to the international director of that region, and he became our international director, at least at that point. And our coach with Crossroads was also a former Brazilian missionary. So we thought, okay, well, everything's fallen in place. We must be going to Brazil. But I never felt very comfortable about that. So that was November. Fast forward to February of last year. I was praying very diligently that God would kind of give us direction on where we were going to go, where He wanted us to serve. And one day I prayed, I wrote this down in my journal, God, it would be so much easier if someone came to us, someone who needed our skills and our passion to serve with them. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from a friend. He was a church planter in England, in Preston, and he was in town for a mission conference. And it was actually a last-minute thing. He didn't know he was going to be in Longview. But he invited me to lunch and sat down and said, we really could use some help in England. Would you be interested in praying about it? I said, absolutely, I'm going to pray about it. Matter of fact, if I didn't have to really think about it for a little while, I'd say, yeah, we're on board. But I went home and I told Carrie, and she said, yeah, let's do that. Let's pursue that. She I guess, had already been praying for England. I don't know. But so we went to our agency, and they had to run through a bunch of processes and vetting of this ministry. But everything worked out perfectly. It was a perfect fit for what I love to do. It was a perfect fit for my background and skills. It was a great opportunity. So everything got off the ground. This was in March. I went to England. I met the church members. I met the remainder of the staff. Learned about the town. It was an incredible visit. Came back home and started pursuing our support development and more training. We had to read up on English culture, had to do some study on Muslim culture because there's a fast-growing Muslim population in the city centers in England. So we started doing all of our homework. There was a lot of it. But I guess the end of June, I got a call from the pastor of the church. His name was Jason, and he said he would talk to me about what was going on at the church. There were some new laws enacted in England to kind of help prevent radicalization, and one of those laws had an interesting side element. You have to have a lot of training and certain permissions to do evangelism in England now. And those laws can be interpreted in different ways, more leniently or more strictly. But Jason and his wife had been accused of religious harassment by one of their former members, who was really, she was, from everything I've read about afterward and heard about afterward, she was off a rocker. But they were, the police showed up at their door, and they were going to take the children and interview them. And basically, Jason's wife, Nicola, decided, okay, we can't do this, and was on the very next plane home to the States. Our agency stepped in, and they said they really didn't want something so unstable for one of their missionaries, since they didn't have a team on the ground in the area, so they asked us to step back. So we stepped back and started praying, what are we going to do now? What's next? Another month later, or 2 months later, we had a Skype conversation with the vice president of Crossworld and our international director, and they said, we really think you need to be here. That's where all of our ministries really fit best. And I'll skip a lot of the, from August to November, but they really felt we should go to one of the places in Europe. We looked at Ireland and worked out some of the details about education and figured out that, yeah, we are a good fit. It's church planting, a lot of discipleship involved, something I'm really excited about. A lot of just community involvement, because they want all their missionaries to be really connected with the community. I'm looking forward to that. Probably won't be running a bookstore. That's okay. Anyway, so we went through Italy, we went through Spain, we looked at France, but our hearts just kept going back to Ireland. And it was really a very good fit culturally, because England and Ireland do have similar cultures in a lot of ways. There are a lot of differences as well, but God used all these twists and turns, opening doors and closing doors, to focus our attention on Ireland. One of the biggest reasons we didn't look at Europe in the first place is because it's really expensive to live there. And we didn't, okay, I admit, I didn't want to do the hard work of raising the support for it. But, and I'm still not excited about that. It's not the most fun job. But because of going to England and visiting England, God really strengthened our faith. And we know that He is the one that's going to provide all of that. So we're not worried about that anymore. Education was another challenge. Our oldest daughter, Clara, she has severe dyslexia, and in Ireland they don't really have programs set up for that. So that really makes our homeschooling a good fit. And the Irish culture has really warmed up to it as well. So everything just fell in place. We didn't expect it to be quite that easy to convince our agency that it is a good place for us. And when we went back to them, we asked if we could visit Ireland, and they agreed. So we went back in March to Cork, Ireland. We visited several towns in Cork. You go ahead and switch this. I'll switch to a little bit about each of these are a little bits about us. You can't see it on the screen; it's so small. I'm going to make my next PowerPoint larger print. But that picture is a town called Youghal. Being from Texas, it should be pretty easy for us to say y'all. It's spelled Y-O-U-G-H-A-L, but it's pronounced y'all. And they made fun of us when we walked up and said, Youghal. That's how it looks. But it's a beautiful town. That was a farm, early farm. See how green that is? That's with no leaves on the trees. And it's just beautiful green. That town, a guy named Oliver Cromwell came into from England, and killed a lot of people. He was trying to suppress an Irish rebellion. When you say the name of Cromwell in Ireland, be prepared to spit just to show them you don't like it, because he's hated. Anyway, there are
shrines and I guess markers, talking about how all that stuff happened, like that, all we learned about. We enjoyed our walk through y'all. If you would go to the next slide. See that white space up there? That's Northern Ireland. That's part of UK. There is a group up there, Protestant believers, that felt that the need in Southern Ireland was so great that they need to start planting churches. It's the Irish Baptist Missions. And Crossworld is partnering with them in these two red spots, that's Cork on the right and Kerry on the left. Those are the counties in Southern Ireland that will be working. When we were in Kerry, or in Killarney, which is the city in Kerry where the church plant is, we got the opportunity to meet with a couple of the mission teams that are there. And one of the teams has been there 10 years and they've been at that church most of that time, right? The church is 25 members. It is, the average church plant in Ireland takes about 10 years. And I don't know if you've heard any numbers from the North American Mission Board, but the last numbers I heard here in America, an average church plant takes about 18 months. So you see the difference in culture, difference in the amount of time it takes to really grow a church. And the churches are very small in Ireland. They have to be. Southern Ireland is very predominantly Catholic. And there are Catholic believers there, people who haven't left the church because they don't have any place to go. But the majority of Catholics in Ireland are nominally Catholic, or politically Catholic, or socially Catholic. And by that I mean politically Catholic. Some of you may have heard years ago about the troubles between Northern Ireland and the Protestants and the Catholics, bombings, the IRA. Those are elements of political religion. People who are killing other people for their faith really probably aren't theologically sound. Then talk about socially political. The church there in Killarney, like I said, it was about 25 members. They meet in a public community center. They pay for it, and they take good care of it when they're there. They set up, tear down, make sure they do their very best to be good social, citizens. But because they're not Catholic, if someone else who is Catholic, another group, organization, individual, who is somehow associated with the Catholic Church, if they come in and say, hey, we need the space, they get bumped. They get moved. It's hard to find large spaces for a Protestant or a Baptist church to meet because they have to deal with a Catholic who's willing to rent to them. So the nature of the church in Ireland, of the evangelical church in Ireland, is very small. Evangelicalism, I've heard two numbers, and let's go to the next one. You might know where these are right here. Ireland for centuries was a bastion of Christian faith. From the 6th century on, they were sending missionaries out to Europe. Irish missionaries were known for centuries as leaders in mission work. They even were able to, the Irish culture was key in saving Europe from the Dark Ages, and just keeping the entire continent from falling into an eternal scientific and theological and philosophical abyss. But now roughly 1.5% of the Irish people, 1.5% are evangelical. The other number I heard more recently was only 1%. People who don't claim any religion at all in Ireland since 2011 has grown by 73%. All right, now I mentioned, let's go with the 1% figure. There are 4.8 million people in Ireland. It's a very small country population-wise. But that means that there are fewer than 50,000 evangelicals. As far as the Baptists in Kerry and Cork counties, I was trying to add up the 12 churches that have been planted. Roughly between 500 and 1,000 people. when we were there, we had a wonderful opportunity to see a baptism service. They only happen once or twice a year. Is that right?
Yeah, maybe
Once or
more.
twice a year, if that often.
Yeah.
They had a very large number being baptized when we were there. There were 7 people being baptized. And the reason that's a large number, when you come out of the Catholic Church, you've already been baptized. If you get baptized again, you are ostracized. You are giving up political advantage or giving up social advantage. If someone else who's Catholic wants to buy this used car and you have a better price, they might sell it to the other person anyway because you're not Catholic. You know, your family, if you get baptized outside of the Catholic Church, your family will abandon you. So these 7 people were giving up a lot to say, I publicly want to show that I'm a believer in Christ. They got up, each one at a time. They gave a significant testimony, and then we sang a hymn for each one. Each person had a separate hymn.
They chose their favorite.
They chose their own hymn. So 7 people, we went through probably about 75 minutes of testimonies and hymns before we went downstairs in this church for the baptisms. It was a huge deal. People from all 12 church plants were there. So, you know, it's a tremendous thing to see that many people in an Irish church baptized. The need is huge, it's tremendous. Essentially, Ireland is post-Christian. I read an article this week that there are quite a few cities in the U.S. that are considered post-Christian based on a Barna research poll. Most of those are up in the Northeast. The measurement for that is based on questions about church attendance, actual beliefs, and various different questions. I think they had 16 questions on the poll. But in Ireland, most of the people that you run across won't have much of an idea about church history or what even the church believes. They believe they're saved because they've been baptized into the church. So the need is tremendous. And my passion in discipleship, it's a long road. I plan to be there the rest of my life. With the exception, of course, I hope to be able to come back every once in a while to visit friends and family. But the reason I think that they need that kind of mission, there are different missions that go in and do teaching, just primarily teaching. I have a friend who does pastoral teaching in Africa, and he goes into the bush, and he does a Bible school and briefcase for pastors, and they'll show up from villages all over, and that's a great ministry. But in Ireland, that's not a useful tool. I have friends in Guatemala, and they do discipleship as well, but their focus is on getting the kids into school, educating them. They teach them the Bible, but their focus is really getting them out of poverty. It's a great ministry as well. But in Ireland, what we need is people to become friends, and not just acquaintances, but groups of friends. And then these friends going out and sharing the gospel with other friends. Because there's no way that we can reach Irish people effectively long term. We have to reach a couple of Irish people, and then they have to reach people that are close to them. So I don't want to go too long about that. You have an idea of where we've been over the past 11 years since we left here. God really started working on us long before that. I encourage you to really think about it. If God has called you to maybe serve in missions, either here in Rocky Mount, in the area, maybe somewhere else in the U.S., maybe somewhere abroad. If there's that inkling of a thought, you need to pray about it, not push it back. I did that for years and years, and I regret not pursuing it much sooner. But God had to prepare me. So. Discipleship, Matthew 28:19 and 20 says, "Go therefore and make disciples of men, all men, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey all that I have commanded you. Behold, I am with you always to the end of the age."
that part about teaching them to obey all that I've commanded. Someone, if you're a believer, someone discipled you, led you to Christ, taught you about walking with Him, abiding with Him. Your pastor, your mom, your dad, some friend, someone discipled you. And somebody discipled them. And somebody discipled them. All the way back to one of the original 11 that was sent out. So if you can trace your lineage, your spiritual lineage, back to one of those 11 disciples, then this command applies to you as well. And I'm not saying that any of you even have to go to Israel or Brazil or Ireland or France or China. But you are called to make disciples of all men. And I mean, look next to you. Is there someone that's a man or a woman that's next to you? Okay, so who did he tell us to disciple? Anybody? So who would that be? My first and foremost disciple is my wife. I'm commanded to love her and to teach her as much as I can. It teaches me an awful lot to follow Christ. And then after that, she and I both have a responsibility to disciple our children. But that's not where it ends. When I was managing Lifeway, I had employees, I had customers. Ike was a customer. I think he bought one thing from me in those 5 years. But friends, people that you run into in the neighborhood on a regular basis. I bet if you thought about it, someone would come to mind. That's someone you need to be, not just, and I'm not just saying, just sharing the gospel. That is an important, incredibly important element. But you may end up having to build some kind of framework in order to share the gospel. For some people, you don't. But for some people, you have to have some kind of connection with them before they're going to even listen to you. So it's something I'd ask you to think about. My challenge to you is, who does God want you to disciple? But then, if you're to disciple someone, probably someone needs to be discipling you too. I don't know, do you have like a mentor team, or that is discipleship? Studies together. That's part of it. Absolutely. Is there somebody that you look up to teach you, to lead you? It's someone you go to when you have difficult questions. I mean, all these are aspects of discipleship. Jesus really showed us in the way he led his disciples, how discipleship is supposed to happen. You know, that first invitation when he called out to, it's in John 1, 35 to 39, he called out to some of his disciples and said, come and see where I'm staying. It was just an introduction. It was just a very basic calling. And those disciples didn't have a whole lot of investment. They didn't have to commit a lot to that. Okay, we'll come. Yeah, no big deal. But then he went on from there to a come and follow. In Mark 1:16, let's see, he calls 4 fishermen as disciples. He walked by the Sea of Galilee. He saw Simon, Andrew, James and John. They were casting their nets. And he called them and said, now follow me. So they actually had to commit something. They had to give up something. The time that they were fishing, they were making a living, to follow him. And it was closer. It was a much closer walk than that just introduction. And then Jesus also appointed, he sent some guys out to learn, really, is what he did it for. Matthew 3:13 through 19 says, he went up on the mountain, he called to him those he himself wanted, and they came to him. And he appointed 12, that they might be with him. Oh, there's a key part. Being with Christ. And that he might send them out to preach. Give them power. And you know what happened? They came back, and they were shocked. They were shocked by what God had allowed them to do and done through them. So that third stage of discipleship is an appointment, or joining with in ministry. Kind of think through your life. Where on this path are you? And maybe where are some of the people that are around you that you just kind of figured out, I'm discipling them. Where are they on this one? But then there was a fourth set that Jesus really described in John 15, 1 through 11. And that's the one that we're all striving for. But we also want to teach others to do. We're abiding with Christ. He says, I'm the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And then it goes on. I'll skip through the less relevant stuff, but I do encourage you to read passages. If you want these verses, I can post them in the back here before I leave, so that you can look them up. You should find them now. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. And then further down, verse 9, it says, by this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, so that you will be my disciples. All right, so he gives us this command, or this calling to abide in him. And the ultimate purpose of that is so that we can bear much fruit and glorify God. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to encourage all of you to do. Look for someone to disciple you. Look for someone you can disciple. And walk them through the steps that Christ gave us in Scripture to get to know Christ, to walk with Christ, to eventually abide with him and teach others about him. That's how the church grows. That's how the kingdom grows. Can you scroll a little further down? I'm going to keep going past that. Ireland is falling apart. Crossword. If you get a chance, I'll have some stuff in the back. I have prayer cards I'd love you to take if you would pray for us. That's the most important thing that we need. And you can check out Crossword. Determine if it's really a ministry you can trust. Don't take my word for it. Look at their About page. It's a wonderful group, wonderful ministry, very solid theologically, but passionate about growing the church in the world's least reached marketplaces. If you would scroll up a little bit. I don't know where you are. I know that I talked to Pastor John already about the possibility of the church eventually working with us. I don't know how that might work out. I don't know what God might tell you, but I want to ask you to pray. If God leads you to join us in this, that would be fantastic. We have already budgeted for we planned in our budget, a house big enough to allow people to visit. Who doesn't want to go to Ireland? Anyone here not want to go to Ireland? But it would be great to have a mission team from Parkwood. I mean, that'd be fantastic. A small group decides we need to go help serve at camps in summer in Ireland. Incredible. But pray what God might have you do. If you scroll a little further. My daughter made this pie chart for me. It's fantastic. We get these little formal pie charts that we can post, and they're real glossy and nicely made. I want something cool. Our monthly support bill is huge. You see that number, that $8,900 a month? I know that sounds outrageous, and it is. It's about $1,700 less than what we had to do or $1,800 less than we had to do for England. We have friends that are going to Italy, and they have to raise over $10,000 just to go. So it's tough, but every bit of that money goes to ministry support, which would be actually setting up a ministry office there in Ireland. Goes to our income, our retirement, our health care. Health care is ridiculous. It's $1,500 and change a month. And not declining anytime soon. But I can, if you ever need it or are interested in learning more about it, I'd be glad to share the numbers with you one-on-one, because I don't want to go deep into those numbers. Currently, we're actually, as of today, closer to $2,500 a month. I have a personal goal. I don't know if any of you are on Facebook and see these, but I have a personal goal of reaching 46% by July 30th.
That's a pretty big jump in just 1 week. But July 30th is my 46th birthday, so that's kind of why I made it. The next one, you have to have also an outgoing goal. Basically, one-time setup fee. It's 2 months' worth of living expenses. It's all of our additional training. It is the cost of visas, the cost of setting up a household when we get there. We got to buy a car. $56,000. When I first started this journey, I thought that was just insane. There's no way I can do that. But at this point, through dear friends, people who are already supporting us, we're over 60% of the way there. So that is really plus. And yeah, that's actually closer to 35,000 now. So, yeah, okay. So here we go. I made that 89.75. It's actually 89.63, but that was an easier number to work with. What we need to get in the field, there are several numbers, several thresholds to work on. That 46% is just a random number I selected because I'm very efficient. But by October, in order for us to make it to the November training for Crossroads exit training, we need to be at 75%. 75%. I don't think I put that number up there. The next page. Basically, if we don't make it in November, the next training is in June. They do it twice a year. I'd love to go in November so that we can hopefully be in the field by February. That's kind of the goal that God's put on my heart. I know we can't do it. We can't do any of this. Every bit of this has been a shock to me, but I know that God can. If He does want us there, He'll get us there. But the red blocks up there represent, you can't see the numbers, but represent the supporters we already have. From 500, 400, 200, 100, 175, or something like that. Anyway, those are the supporters we currently have. I would love to fill up all of those. There are a lot of them. Now, there's no set amount that one would have to give to support this ministry, but God is promising. The next page, these show the goals, percentage goals. We'd love to have 100% pledge by January, so we can fly out in February. We'll see. That's good. But I already told you, it was 75% of pledge support. That's another thing. Early on, we didn't really understand the difference between pledge support and active support. So people that were in res, those were active supporters. If you feel like, yes, I'd love to support the Quals family, but not until January or not until June of next year or whatever, you can pledge. It's a great way at least to get started and to get us into the field. But something, once again, you have to pray about and decide whether that's what God wants to do. So next page is just, will you consider partners? I stole that from another Crossroad Missionaries PowerPoint. And then the next page is a couple of Bible verses that are very important to me. I'm the vine, you the branches. Whoever abides in me, and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For Parkwood, and then the best of all the first fruits and all your special gifts will belong to Jesus. You're to give them on the first portion of your ground meal, so that a blessing can be rest on your hearts. I don't want anyone to give. I don't want anyone here to give if you haven't talked to God about it. He told you. Don't feel any guilt about it. He's going to provide you. And I don't know where you guys are in your lives. I hope to catch up with a whole bunch of you in the next couple of days. I'm trying to get together with as many people as I can. But you heard our pitch. If it's a no, that's fine. Don't avoid me. Come say hi and give me a hug. I would rather have anyone sign up to join something. And for that matter, if 2 years down the road there's a mission trip and you're not a supporter, it's okay too. Come join us. Come visit us in Ireland. I would be thrilled to no end to be able to hug you guys again there in Ireland. So, this small group, do you mind if I just open up to, if anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer. Yes, go ahead.
On any given week, when you're in Ireland, what is it that you do and how do you accomplish it?
The majority of the time, for the first year, I will be, can you hear me?
On any given week, not the first year, just on any given week.
Let me give you two answers to that. The first year will be a lot of figuring that out, because we're going to be working with all 12 of the church plants. The next year, one of those church plants will have us full-time serving as a church staff member. Does that make sense? So I'll be doing what he does.
That ain't what I said. What have you done?
What
For the
have I?
last 11 years on any given week, when you was in Ireland.
I haven't been in Ireland yet.
Oh, okay.
We haven't been there yet.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I saw pictures, but I couldn't hear.
We took a 1-week trip to meet the other missionaries, but we haven't actually served there yet.
Okay. You was in Africa, or where were you at?
We haven't been in the field yet. I've been working for Lifeway the past 17 years of my life.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you'd been traveling all over.
No, not
You're
yet.
trying to get something started.
Right.
Okay. I'm sometimes a little bit slow.
But to try to fill out that other question about any given week, from what I understand, what I'll be doing is I'll be doing a lot of outreach every week on certain days. I'll be serving in the church itself. I will be preaching on occasion when needed, and whatever else the church needs me to do. But we're still a couple years away from that, probably. So, anyone else?
Isn't the whole Europe pretty much in the same place spiritually that Ireland?
Yes, post-Christian.
That's what I've read, all the way.
There are places that are considered even less reached. Germany is one. France is. We've got a great ministry going on in France in the universities there in Paris. I wish I could have talked more with some of the people that have been in France, but I do know that most of their ministry, most of their work is done in houses around the campuses. Basically, the missionaries go in, rent a house, and then just start inviting the students in for Bible studies and whatever. And it's been very powerful, but France is still so far gone as far as post-Christian. England there are areas of England that are at the 0% in evangelical believers. That's true also of Ireland, but lots of Muslims in England, and that's still growing pretty dramatically. And I think that's true over most of Europe. So it's in pretty much the same state. And just like the U.S., there are areas where it's not as bad and areas where it's worse. Now tomorrow night, we're going to be meeting with a bunch of other people, and I don't know if it's only going to be there, but I'm really looking forward to sharing a little more one-on-one with people. I'd be glad to hang around here afterward too to answer any questions, to share our materials with you. Just want you to know that I love this church. I love most of the people I know. I love here tremendously. The people I don't know yet, I'm going to love you anyway. It's just been such a long time since I've been here, and I know a lot of you don't really remember much about us. I hope this has given you a little better insight into who we are and where we've been over the past 11 years.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Hey guys, I want you to understand something real quick. This is the hardest part of the mission trip. It really is. And not taking anything away from what they're doing, but the difficult thing is getting support, because you're going into churches, you're relying on the faithfulness of people, and it's difficult to do that. And their livelihood, this is a livelihood, it's a mission. And oftentimes, for whatever reason, the church thinks, well, missionaries need to be poor and humble, but that's not the case. They have responsibilities. And one thing, the term that you use quite a bit was post-Christian or post-church and post-Christian. Real briefly, that is a fairly new term that has been coined over recent years. And what that means is that the concept of Christianity, the relationship side of Jesus Christ, for all practical purpose, in a Cliff Note version, has ran its course. People have been there, they've done that. That generation has passed on. There's been no key discipleship that trains the children to see the significance of Christianity. So children are growing up with a taste of Christianity, but not a desire for it. And then their children grow up without even a taste for it or a desire for it. So what they say about post-Christianity or post-church is that the church or the Christian church has ran its course and that people see no significant need for it in their life anymore. And that is something that we're seeing here, as you said, in the Northeast. The Northeast of our country has been categorized as post-Christian. As a matter of fact, they're saying that most of the revivals that potentially will take place in our nation will be mostly Midwest to latter West, because it's going through the Bible Belt. It's becoming a passing process, but it's slowly drifting towards the western part. And that shouldn't surprise us, because the Bible does say that in these latter days that the hearts of man, the love of many will wax cold, and we're in that day. So what we're going to do for the Quals is we're going to pray for them. All of us can do that, and we're going to meet with our mission team and see what we can do to help out financially. In the meantime, if you want to be a part of this, check with the office. We'll have the information there if you want to go ahead and directly get involved. And I encourage you, if the Lord lays it upon your heart, to do just that. One of the things we would really like to do in the mission team is go from abstract to defined. And what I mean by that, instead of just giving money to an abstract mission, which is great because they are specified in certain areas to direct the finances, we want to be able to give to families that we know that we can have a relationship, that we can have come back, talk to us, and we can have someone that is on our refrigerator that we know who they are, instead of just a bunch of cards that the IMB send us and we have no idea who they are. Because the truth of the matter is, you get those cards, we look at them, and most of the time we'll find them 6 months later when we clean out our car and never see them. And so relationships are very important. But thank you so much for being here. We're going to pray for you and give him a chance to answer any questions. You want to talk with him afterwards, I do encourage you to do that. So let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, you're a good, good God. And Lord, my favorite passage, Lord, John 15:5, that's my verse, abide. I love that, Lord, because, God, without that one word, abide, then everything I do will fall flat on its face, and I have been a prime example of that through experience. And so, Lord, tonight we ask that as the Qual family, as they begin this new journey, and as they abide in you, that, Lord, you would bless their efforts. 126 people, Lord, $8,975, about $72 a person. 126 people, Lord. And when we look at the overall fee, it is very expensive, but it's a different land. And, Lord, that's what it takes, and I pray for that 126 people, that's $72 a month average, that you would God, bring that into their life. Maybe someone here says, I want to be one of the 126. I want to commit that $71. Lord, I pray that you would be clear in your conversation with the heart, Lord Jesus, that they would know without question that you're talking to me. Lord, I pray for the children. God, what an awesome thing, God, their kids, to change the venue in which they're used to. Go to a beautiful land, and Lord, know that you're trusting you to watch over them. I pray for the kids, that Lord, you would bring so many friends into their lives and bless them in such a way that, God, they would be just overjoyed in the new home that you've set apart for them, Lord. I pray for his wife, Lord, that you would just be with her, Lord. Oftentimes, I do know from experience, the one who has the most difficult job in ministry is the wife, Lord, because there's really no one to talk to. Lord, oftentimes they are secluded, and I just pray that you would give her the strength, the excitement, the stamina. Lord, that you would bless her in such a way that, God, she would be fully equipped and ready to continue this journey that you've called them together on. We love you. We thank you for your goodness. In Christ's name, amen.